The good part about going last is you get a lot of time to reflect on your answer. I see a pattern. Right after high school, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I got to serve our country, but boy, you want to learn some leadership. You learn a lot of followership in the Marine Corps too. You know, do what you're told. But it was a leadership position. They taught a lot of leadership, but you're serving the country. Right after that, went to college, then became a police officer. As a police officer, you're leading a lot of people, even if it's just directing traffic, but you're serving your community. As I pursued my college education, went and got an MBA in management. I served as a consultant, again in IT, so no matter how you vote, our IT infrastructure is going to be all right in the city. But I served my clients, you know. I was leading them, but serving them. Went on and got a PhD in leadership. I'm a college professor. I lead the class, but I'm serving my students. And I'm in a beautiful spot where I actually get to help these beautiful, intelligent minds make a difference to help other people. So the strengths I bring is, you know, a lot of leadership experience, but just a burning desire to serve and help.
Number 5, Doc. Vietnam. Strengths, experience. I served on the town council for 3 years during a time period where we lowered the property tax rate each year, didn't raise it. I think that's good experience. Other experience, I have fought for my town in the intervening time between the time I was on council and the present time. Some of the things that I have opposed was I have asked our town government to take a tape measure and make sure we do not get a sexually oriented business on 380. They have not done that as of yet. It is still possible for them to come in. If they file properly, we will not be able to get them out once they're in. And you would be so proud of having a town with 2 or 3 sexually oriented businesses along in your city limits. I would not. I would like to have that stopped. I am experienced in that. I have contacts. Today I have met with council members from Frisco. I have met with 2 TxDOT people. I have the ability to call Myra Crownover, Jane Nelson, to sit in their office. We have those type of contacts. This is the type of bridge building that will have to be made if we're to accomplish the things that we all want to accomplish, and it will be very important.
David, come select your question. Some of you may have asked this in your I think I'm going to pass on this one if y'all don't mind, because I think the question is, what is your leadership experience? And I really think in your strengths, I think we've heard that. Do y'all agree, or does some of you all want to answer the question? I think that would be duplication. Okay? Does everybody agree out here?
Yes.
Okay. Would you come select another one?
I was going to do it. All right, you're all lectures.
Good exercise.
Okay. What do you consider the most important issue in Little Elm? Why? And what would you do to fix it or help it? 1 minute.
I think I'll let the doc start and work this one. One of the things I have been concerned about has been the infrastructure, and knowing that our city, our town is going to grow quickly and being able to keep up with all that. But I'm afraid if we move too quickly, we might find ourselves doing exactly what we don't want, raise property taxes to pay for it. I would like to make sure that we do it in a good manner. And some things I kind of wonder about with the infrastructure, they just changed the intersection down at Wood Lake and Witt, and we still have dirt roads in this part of town. And I think, you know, some of the things we could have done was help improve some of these parts of the roads and just put a signal up that was in sync with the other way and did just exactly the same result in accomplishing it. I just think looking at more than this or that option and try to see a bigger picture would be more feasible for our town and some of the things we do already.
seen a lot of familiar faces here at the town council meetings. One of the things that I want to make sure is primary is while we talk about infrastructure, while we talk about growth, while we talk about property taxes, the key thing is that the town council is kind of a key component to that. Having been a part of that meeting structure, one of the things that I found was in disarray is when we had a vote on a zoning change, it was Frisco that came in to bring the counter information on why it shouldn't be done. It was the citizens that showed up that said, look, we don't want this. We don't want these type of changes. There wasn't a citizenry that came in to say, let's do it. There wasn't any council member that visited any of you who may have been impacted by that to say, here's what's going to be coming down the pipe. How can we help you? And that's what we need to make sure it doesn't happen. That you're informed, that you understand what's coming down, that you understand exactly what's changing in the town, and that you have a voice in that. That to me is the biggest issue, because that will follow along with infrastructure, that'll follow along with everything else we've talked about. Thank you.
As other people have mentioned, I certainly agree with wanting to get more commercial, residential, or retail, office buildings, medical clinics, things that will generate sales tax into our town and provide different services. I've not been a great proponent of the Economic Development Corporation, but I understand the direction that it should go. I think there's a lot of work that has yet to be done to get the town and the EDC working together to try to build a coalition that will not only concentrate on the town center, but concentrate on bringing development into the entire community.
I think the key challenge is going to be the key issue is leadership. If we have the right leadership in the town council, it's going to be able to communicate with the town management, the town boards, the departments, and everything will flow down from there, from the fire department, the police department, Parks and Rec, as long as you have someone in the organization or in the town council that can be held accountable and work together with each other member on the council and the other members from a leadership standpoint. Thank you.
If I could just interrupt, could we just, because of the time, could we hold all of the slides until the very end of everything, because it is taking us a little long. Do you all object?
No.
Okay.
Will you read the question again?
What do you consider the most important issue in Little Elm? Why, and what would you do?
I consider the most important issue in Little Elm, there's actually three. We need more businesses in Little Elm. We need our taxes lowered. And we also need to do something about the apartment complex that they're wanting to build here on 423. And what I intend to do about it is to work very closely with the EDC and the rest of the government of Town Hall and find out what we can do to make Little Elm go faster in the right direction and handle all of our problems.
See, if you stand up while they're clapping, it feels like they're clapping for me standing up, but anyway. Doesn't really, I don't have any big concerns. It doesn't really matter what I think is the biggest concern in town. What do you think? You tell me, all right? My biggest issue is what got me out here voting, okay? Apathy. People not caring enough. You guys are great. This place should be crowded. The parking lot should be overflowing. We should have had to hold it in Lobo Stadium, that way we could fill it up. What are your concerns? I will listen to those. What I'm doing right now is trying to get people to vote. I'm asking people to vote. The more people, I don't see where you're going to go wrong up here. All right? So the more people you can get involved, understanding what's going on, and I got 15 seconds left to just say, go vote. That's it.
We need to put the administration and the governance of the town of Little Elm back in touch with the people. We should never walk into the town hall and not see a human being. All offices are now pressed back farther away. That's symptomatic of a problem. when I call town hall, I have to go through 5 steps of voicemail in order to try to talk to a live person, and most often I just leave a message and hope that somebody calls me back. That's symptomatic of a problem. I can go to McDonald's any morning between 7:30 and 8:30 and meet up with Hal, who represents me also on the town council, sometimes Bill and a couple of others, but I have the opportunity at least to be in touch with them, and we need to put the town back in touch with the citizens of Little Elm.
For me, the most important thing is basically what the people feel. And through canvassing, I've asked various people, what is your biggest concern, or what do you feel about the city? And one thing that I always get back, primarily get back, is where's the city going? What exactly are we doing? A lot of people don't know. And community engagement, and not necessarily involvement, but engagement to where that both hands are reaching out to grab one another to say, hey, this is what we're doing and this is what we'd like to see. These are the kind of things that we need to do. Now, another question I said, well, okay, where do you normally spend your money? Well, where do you go take your family to eat? They mentioned some of the restaurants like the new Applebee's and things of that nature. I said, well, have you been to Waters Edge or some of the restaurants back there? Waters who? They don't quite know what's back there in that part of town. And that's where the engagement comes in. And basically I feel that when you have that kind of engagement and you have that kind of awareness, and we can create that engagement and more or less make them aware through various media channels and advertising channels to where that they can spend their money locally within our city and raise our tax base.
Okay. In your life experience, can you give me an example when you had to make a decision that others disagreed with you?
Oh, that's a good call, a good question. And yes, one of the things that I did growing up was I served as a lifeguard. I may not look like it now, but back in the day when I did look less like a buoy and more like a cut person on a beach, it was about life or death. And one of the decisions I had made is over a summer I spent time over in California as a lifeguard. And as you probably are well aware, when you're on the beach, there tend to be those little things called sharks. And we had a high shark volume day, and somebody out there who wasn't bit by a shark, so we're not going to make it that glorious. But they were out there having trouble and struggling, and there were some sightings. And so the decision was, do we go out there and make sure we make this rescue, or do we wait for the Coast Guard, or do we wait for the services that come in to handle that? And I made the call to make sure to go out there. And that to me represents virtue, which is what your council should represent. And to me, virtue means you do what's right, even if it's in spite of yourself. You make sure that you represent the best values that you can, and for the people that you do represent. Thank you.
To answer that question, I've got to go back about 25 years. I've lived in Little Elm for 28 years. I was on the school board for many years, and I had an occasion one time back in the late 80s that there was a dispute about who was supposed to be the valedictorian for the high school graduating class. We had a young lady who was a neighbor. She was part of this dispute, and it was versus somebody else. I ended up casting the deciding vote, not allowing her to be valedictorian because I thought the other person deserved it more. I don't have time to get into the circumstances. It was a neighbor, it was a friend. It created some animosity, but that's the way I looked at the school board. That's the way I look at things serving the town council. I will look at what's always best for the community. I will look at the situation and just hope for the best. Don't clap. We're not supposed to clap.
Wow, so many. It's tough question. Probably one of the ones that just jumps to my mind is back as a sales manager, being called in by the VP of sales and saying, I need you to go fire somebody. And I'm like, what for? And even though I didn't agree with this person's lifestyle, they wanted him fired because of his sexual orientation. And I said, no. You know, he made his numbers. It was not the right decision. I was not going to do that. So I did not. the president came to me, the VP, jumped